Do it!
88.3 WQNA Springfield.
The other day, as it popped into my mind, we're going to switch to the Arizona Cardinals real quick regarding Kurt Warner. He has the opportunity to play and win if they make it past this weekend, to where he's actually going to be a quarterback for the St. Louis Rams when he won the Super Bowl. Now he's about ready to do the same thing over in Arizona if he can get past this game.
Yeah, Kurt Warner has been nothing short of phenomenal this season. He's got a new Cardinals franchise record in touchdown passes with 30. He threw for over 4,500 yards this season. He stayed healthy for all 16 games. You know, Kurt Warner went through a lull there. After he got released by the Rams, he went through a lull where he got bounced around, never really found a good fit. Well, he's got a great fit in Arizona. He's got great weapons to throw the ball to. He's getting protection by that offensive line. The offensive line is still not up to where it can be in Arizona, but it protected him. He only got sacked 26 times in 2008. Kurt Warner has a real chance to lead the Arizona Cardinals, and it's impossible for me to even think about this, but a real chance of getting back to the Super Bowl in Arizona as a Cardinal.
It's realistic. They're playing at home, and you want to talk about a team who is tough at home. The Arizona Cardinals, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they only lost one game at home this year, and they're actually selling out the stadium. We're talking the 20 years that they were there before we moved away. We couldn't get anybody in the stadium. Now for the last 2 years, they've been selling out the stadium. Obviously, has to do with the grand stadium, but at the same time, this team has improved. I bet you. Now, what do you think about? I mean, do you think Matt Leiner's definitely taken a second guess on his draft decision on what he was going to do, whether he was going to come out early or stay one more year?
I think Matt Leinart, I still like Matt Leinart as a future, for his future in the NFL. I think Matt Leinart's going to be just fine in the NFL. I think that right now the Arizona Cardinals with Kurt Warner, Warner's got another couple of years left in him maybe, and after that probably headed for retirement. I don't think Matt Leinart's going to stick around for that, but I tell you what, it's just kind of like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers up in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers was drafted to be the heir apparent to Brett Favre. Favre kept playing year after year and continuing to start, and Rodgers never got an opportunity until this past year when he finally forced his hand. But we've seen these quarterbacks that get a chance to sit on the bench. We saw it with Phillip Rivers behind Drew Brees for a couple of seasons there in San Diego. We see it with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. They get a couple of years to develop, to learn, to get adjusted to the speed of the NFL game, and then they get their opportunity, and then they're successful. Not everyone can step right out onto the field and be like Matt Ryan was this year or Joe Flacco and be successful in the NFL. A lot of quarterbacks thrown into that type of fire usually end up burning out way too quickly.
Now, let's go to my favorite team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. My problem was their Cotter there, and I thought everything was, I thought the first year went about where it was. This is a new guy. I think they figured him out really quick. What do you think?
I think that the problem for Jacksonville this year started with the injuries that they suffered along the offensive line in the preseason. That's really where everything fell apart for Jacksonville. You lose 3 starters along the offensive line before you ever even enter the regular season, you're going to struggle. And they struggled running the football consistently. They struggled protecting David Garrard there. I think that Jacksonville is going to be one of those bounce-back candidates in 2009 because they'll get everybody back healthy. So I think Jacksonville's fine. I think Dirk Cutter, he surprised me as offensive coordinator. He's done a better job than I anticipated. What he could really use there, just like in Chicago, they could use some wide receivers there in Jacksonville.
Huge, and Jerry Porter hasn't been healthy enough to keep him as a serious threat in the games at all.
No, Jerry Porter was not the free agent impact wide receiver that they were really hoping. Injuries slowed him down. You kind of question whether or not he's got the toughness to be to really excel in the NFL as a team's number 1 wide receiver anymore. Reggie Williams hasn't really panned out. He's been good in spots, but he doesn't have a tremendous amount of speed. The kid I like a lot in Jacksonville for wide receivers is Mike Walker. I think Mike Walker this offseason, as long as he can stay healthy, and that's always been the caveat with Walker, even in his college days back in Washington, is whether this kid can stay healthy. If he can, He's got speed. He's got good hands. He's got decent size. Mike Walker's a guy that could be we talked about fantasy football sleepers. There's a real deep sleeper for you going into 2009.
Well, he runs routes really well. I remember. Thank goodness for the NFL channel. I mean, and we got the opportunity to see this guy runs routes really well. He's crisp off the breaks of the ball, and he knows where he needs to be at the time where he needs to be at. And I found that very, very refreshing as far as the wide receiver was concerned.
Yeah, I think Mike Walker definitely has a future in the NFL, but with that caveat, if he can stay healthy. If he can't, Jacksonville's still looking for another wide receiver.
And they need it. Now that we'll answer this one, and we'll let you go, and we appreciate your time. Looking at what has happened now through the first and second rounds, what are you looking here in the last part of the playoffs? Who do you see in the Super Bowl, Russ?
Well, I tell you what, my preseason picks were Pittsburgh in the AFC and New Orleans in the NFC, and I have Pittsburgh winning it all. Since Pittsburgh's still alive in it, I'm going to continue riding the Steelers. I'll take them to beat Baltimore this week, and I'll take them to go to the Super Bowl. I'll take them to win the Super Bowl against whoever they play, Philadelphia or Arizona. But in the NFC, I actually like the Cardinals. I know that they're a home underdog, but this team has really been just very impressive. They've done something in the postseason that no team has done since the Indianapolis Colts beat the Bears in the Super Bowl a few years back, and that is take a defense that in the regular season was getting beat up and pushed around and giving up points, and instead clamping down in the playoffs. They had clamped down on two of the best rushing teams in the NFL the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. They took down Michael Turner in Atlanta. They took out D'Angelo Williams in Carolina last week. Brian Westbrook in Philadelphia. Westbrook is a problem, and Donovan McNabb normally owns the Arizona Cardinals. He's like 5-2 against them lifetime against Arizona. But Brian Westbrook and the Eagles, they are not a running football team. They are a controlled West Coast passing team that also runs the football occasionally. I think the Cardinals can actually beat this team. I think the Cardinals go to the Super Bowl and lose to the Steelers.
I think the Cardinals need to look out for those screens, whether it be Buckhalter or the other guy there. But if they don't catch up on the screens, they're going to burn them just like the Eagles did last week, and getting that 50-60 yard the screen, that's going to kill the Cardinals. And that's actually one of the bad things about the Cardinals before they started actually getting in there. And one question I missed there: where's Russ Grimm looking for next year?
Well, Russ Grimm, the offensive line coach and assistant head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, he's probably going to stay with the Arizona Cardinals, in my opinion.
They need it.
And until the Cardinals' season is done, we're not going to really know how serious a candidate he is for any of the coaching jobs anywhere, be it with the Jets or the Raiders or Kansas City if they decide to let Herm Edwards go, or Detroit, or even with St. Louis. But the Jets brought him in for an interview, but that's the only official one that he's had. Rumors about St. Louis and Detroit appear to be just that. They're rumors. I suspect that Grimm's going to stay on in Arizona for at least one more year, and that's going to give teams that are looking at Russ Grimm another season to see how he improves the Cardinals' still kind of suspect offensive line.
Actually, wasn't it a flip of the coin between him and Westham?
Well, let's see. There was a flip of the coin, I think, between him and Wisenhunt and him and Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh prior 2 seasons ago. I think that Russ Grimm is a very hot head coaching commodity, but I really think that since there's not a lot of jobs, at least not currently available, that he's probably going to end up staying with Arizona. I think it's going to be another year before he gets a chance. And I think if the Cardinals don't win the entire thing, if they don't go to the Super Bowl and don't win it, I think that Grimm's going to stay on and the Cardinals will get one more year out of him.
Sounds great. Russ, I tell you, I deeply, deeply appreciate your time and joining us here on WQNA Springfield on Lois and Clark's actual Money Pit. So I appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to speaking with you maybe next month or maybe 2 months down the road and see what folks need to do for their fantasy league and where the NFL's wrapping up. You got time for that?
Oh, I've got time for that. In 2 months, we'll be in the midst of free agency. The free agency period starts at the beginning of March, and we'll also be talking about the NFL draft because all of the combine and all those individual workouts and everything heading up to that April draft. So definitely, I'm up for it.